family, especially Fergus and his son Thane and daughter Megan, I welcome you all here to this time of celebration and thanksgiving for the life of one we all held dear, no matter how long or how little we have known him. Your presence here is a tribute to Sue. She'd be so glad to welcome you here herself. Please know you're welcome to join in the music and prayers as much or as little as you wish. I ask you also to hold in your heart Sue's sister Jill, who, because of her own serious illness, is unable to be here today, but must remain in hospital near London, Ontario. She is with us in spirit and is represented by her three daughters, Sarah, Michelle, and Tracy, and I probably haven't got the order right. My name is Fran Darlington, and I'm Fergus's sister, and I'm very honored and privileged to have been asked to take care of this service today. Just remain seated. St. Paul wrote, I'm sure, that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God. Now, for a few quiet moments, let's each of us make our own personal thanksgiving for all that Susan has meant to us. And now I invite Susan Ferg's beloved grandboys to come up and light a memorial candle. Well done. This will burn throughout this celebration and be taken to the room for the reception afterwards, and then Fergus can take it home and light it on Sue's birthday or any other day he feels so inclined. All that you will need for this celebration is in the booklet you have been given. Please just follow along. You're welcome to join in the bold print, the music, wherever you feel comfortable. And immediately following this service, the family looks forward to greeting and welcoming you for a time of refreshment and conversation in the Richmond room here in the Chapel Ridge Funeral Home. Please follow the family out at the end of the service. As we share this time of remembrance, may we come to know the peace and love of the one who brought all life into being. O God of all creation, with all that lives, we praise and thank you for all that is beautiful and good in this earthly life. You are the light and warmth of the sun.
The daylight and the shadows praise you. The moon and the stars praise you.
You are the life and health of the world.
The fertile earth and the rolling sea praise you. Living creatures and green growing things praise you.
You are the beauty and power of nature.
Wind and rain, thunder and lightning praise you. Ice and snow, clouds and flowing waters praise you.
We, your human children, praise you.
Let all that is praise you day and night, now and forever.
O God, our comforter, you are a refuge and strength for us, always close at hand when we are distressed. Hear our prayers for our beloved Susan, whom we have loved so well but see no longer, and for ourselves, as we find new ways without her.
Open our ears to words of faith, to ease our grief, and renew hope and trust in our hearts and souls again.
Darby, who goes back to school with my brother. Best of friends for many years.
Ferg suggested that as long as I'm a retired television reporter, I pretend I'm speaking to the camera. However, much of my work was pre-recorded, and I could do second takes, sometimes third takes. Sue, darling, you really have got me into it. On the other hand, I owe you. Oh, the number of times you so kindly dealt with the aftermath. How shall I put it, of my misadventures? You understood, if not always sympathized with, my many flaws. That said, you had practice with your husband. But to be fair to Ferg, and it really needs no saying, theirs was, still is, an extraordinary relationship that we much envy. Their first encounter, the stuff of serendipity. An emigrant who married the boss's son, excuse me. I said second takes and third. Married the boss's son and became so Canadian, yet kept her delightful Englishness through the years. I was based in Britain when Ferg and Sue met and married. And it was on one of my occasional visits to Canada that Sue and I first crossed paths. My immediate reaction, other than instant attraction, on my part, not hers, was how could such a prize have been won by Fergus? that irritating schoolboy whose dark secrets I've known since we were schoolboys. In vain I hoped Sue would give him up for me. Instead, I had to content myself with as frequent dinner invitations as, retaining what little dignity I had, I could inveigle. Living my life could so often be professionally and personally chaotic. I looked on Sue and Ferg as a refuge of calm and reason. Mind you, as an old family friend, there were occasions I witnessed, but Sue rose above them. And as we all know, the decades at home and work that they spent together, so obviously in love, growing in love and mutual respect, were a wonder to those of us adept at mismanaging our existences, and even those who don't. I love Sue too. And don't worry, Ferg's known that for years. But I can now grudgingly admit, really, Sue, you were much better off. You were much better off with Fergus. Not only did you make, and I am quite serious, Ferg a better man, but you leave children, Megan and Thane, and grandchildren, Owen, Noel, and Reed, testament to your love, goodness and decency, humor and joy in life. And among the many happy things today is that your grandchildren are old enough to know, and years from now, remember you and the remarkable person you are. And so, Sue, darling, on those rare times when I see an urban loon, the bird, not an odd Torontonian of the human variety, I will think of you on Lake Kawagama, paddling in the early morning mist, pausing, watching and listening for the loons, exulting in the beauty of it all, and then returning to the cottage, and always returning to Ferg and the children.
And now, a beloved, long time family friend, Fran Flint.
Good afternoon. I am not a reporter, and I can testify that I have not had a word with John, so any crossover of what we say is a testament to Sue. Although I can't remember the precise occasion when I first met Sue 20 plus years ago, I know it was the result of our husband's business associations. There was an instant affinity as we shared English backgrounds, both emigrated to Canada, and had many mutual interests. I know I was struck by her gentle but affirmed nature, her manners, her ease at conversation, and lovely smile, characteristics that endeared her to me over the years. Fondest memories include celebrating milestones with our families, attending concerts and plays, dinners, Viennese balls, travelogues about their many exotic adventures, and most vividly, our visits to their cottage near Dorset. Sue was thoughtful and thorough in planning any occasion. I can go back through countless email messages that carefully outlined where, when, what, who, and how we were to arrange an event. You could be sure that all details were accounted for. Her lists for the cottage never ceased to amaze me. Items were never forgotten, meals were complete and varied, and food was seldom, if ever, wasted. Although I never actually saw her spreadsheet, I gather her reading list included books she had read, books she planned to read, books she had on reserve at the library, plus reviews of books she recommended, including ratings and critiques. Her love of reading continued to the end, as she was reading The Golden Sun when I saw her at Markham Stouffville Palliative Care. I asked if she would find it easier to read on her iPad, as it would be lighter, but she said she really preferred holding the book and turning the pages. Sue's planning and organization, of course, guaranteed quality outcomes, a term I know Ferg has issue with. She loved their home in Ballantrae. It is an oasis of tranquility and elegance. We loved going for dinner there. Her dishes were beautifully prepared and served with pleasure, especially valued after the lengthy months of not being able to eat. Those were difficult times, to be sure, but with her attention to detail and Ferg's unending patience and dedication, they persevered, and against all odds, Sue's health for a time improved, and she rejoiced. Memories come flooding in as I try to isolate a few thoughts that most honor a friend with whom we have shared so much. Most poignant of all was during that last visit to Sue. Her serenity and calm steadied me, and I understood when Ferg said he got his strength from her. We talked about the cottage and reminisced about sitting on the dock under the pagoda. Ferg had emerged from his nap, and it was tea time. She carefully walked down the steps and along the path, arriving with the tray laden with a pot of tea, good leaf tea, properly brewed, nestled under the tea cozy, served with a tea strainer, along with a tin of biscuits or cake to chase away any afternoon hunger pangs. We sat there companionably chatting, with the water lapping, annoyed by the occasional sidhu that raced by, causing the waves to wash up on the dock. I asked Sue to share her favorite memory. She said it was in the early morning when she would creep down to the dock, the water barely rippling, shimmering with the early morning light as the mist moved out. She would go out in her canoe, paddling her way across the water, totally at peace in her spiritual home. I invite you to join me in cherishing this image of her, carefully plotting her way, steadfast and true, calm and serene, and give thanks for the ripples she leaves behind, carved by each stroke of kindness and love.
Thank you, Fran. And now another beloved friend, Joan Chapman.
It's kind of tough going to be the third act, because everybody has said everything wonderful about Sue that could be said, but I'll try not to be repetitive, even though I think Fran and I have so many wonderful things, similar experiences with Sue. So it is a sad day for all of us, particularly all of us who love Sue, but as a day of celebration, and the celebration of her life, and all the goodness that is part of it, we have to give thanks to her exceptional and loving husband, to her wonderful children and grandchildren, and to all of her friends that I see here who have loved her along with me. She was blessed. She was blessed with happiness, and she was blessed with goodness. Sue was one of the bravest and most courageous people I have ever known. The past 8 years or so were a testament of her strength and my admiration for her. She took what life gave her, and she always rose above it. Sometimes with a few well-chosen expletives, but we loved that because that said she had a fighting spirit. She was such a dear friend and confidant, and I loved her dearly. Her warmth, her generosity, her sincerity, her amazing smile. And I think that's the one thing that everyone has said about Sue, that amazing smile that could uplift you in any situation. When I have to look back, and so thinking about our friendship, which is not quite as long as sort of John or Fran's, but we started off as with some casual lunches between two working professionals. We were both market researchers. We knew each other, but only vaguely. And we kind of knew each other's reputation from afar. But over those few casual early lunches that we found that we had so much in common, that we had the same values, we had the same interests, and our friendship grew rapidly as a result of that. We both recognized that we intersected. So our friendship enjoyed so many great moments. We loved hiking, so in the early days, we hiked together, and that was really wonderful. Of course, it was a little difficult hiking with Sue because I had to do 2 steps to every one of hers. But never mind, I kept up. We also loved books, and obviously Fran talked about her love of books. And we had so many wonderful hours of sharing books and all the books that meant a great deal to us. We loved learning, so we joined U of T lecture series, and we went to that faithfully and enjoyed our learning experiences there. We went to a lot of theater and a lot of concerts too, because that was a big part of our lives that we really enjoyed. We did let Ferd come along, although it was difficult at times, and he did occasionally complain that he could not get a word in edgewise. But that's women. There were some very special moments, and I guess the same moment that Fran talked about, that John talked about, were those lazy days sitting on the dock of her cottage, sort of each of us sitting there quietly, reading our books, listening to the water lapping, and feeling very serene and very comfortable in our own skin. And then every once in a while, through all of this, something would catch our interest in one of our books, and off we went on a big discussion. So our discussions went on for quite some time. We loved them. We loved heady discussions about anything that we could do, and anything that we could talk about. And so those were a really, really special time for us, those wonderful days on the deck of their cottage. The other one, of course, that I always remember that I think left me with some great experiences was my trips to Florida, visiting Sue and Ferd. And again, lovely, wonderful walks on the beach that we had, but also to a wildlife region. I think it's called Thonotosassa. And it was, we used to take canoe rides. And of course, Sue always sat in front of the canoe. Ferd sat in the back. I sat in the middle. They wouldn't dare give me a paddle, and they were right to not do so. But it was a magical experience of seeing wildlife through the wilds, and experiences we all three enjoyed and thought were extremely special. My other incredible experience with Sue was her laughter. I always enjoyed. She could laugh, and I would have to laugh immediately with her. It was just that warm feeling of being comfortable and all-inclusive in everything that we did. We went to a play at Soul Pepper, and it was called Noises Off. And Sue and I sat next to each other, and it was a hilarious comedy. I think we were the center of attention because I think we laughed harder than anybody else in that audience. And I think people around us were a little fed up with the fact that we couldn't stop laughing. So I remember that, and her pictures, her image of sitting next to me, turning to me, and having this uproarious laughter coming out of her mouth, which was, and so we shared the same sense of humor as well. But probably the strongest, most lasting memory of Sue will be the last one that I had, which was a few days before the end. I was so impressed with her and how calm and peaceful and content she was. I looked at her again in total amazement that she could be greeting me in the hospital with the emotions and feelings that she had going on. And I knew she was at peace, and we talked about it very briefly. She told me she was at peace, and this was a comfort to her that she would be able to be so at this point in time. So we didn't last long in talking about her. We decided to pull out her travel book, which, if any of you know, her travel book is full of wonderful pictures of all of her trips, and she has a running documentary with each one that is just delightful. And she took that book out, and we talked about a number of the trips that she took. And she stopped at the one on Bhutan, which was a very special trip for her, and she always mentioned it as one of her favorites. And she walked me through the pictures, particularly of her dressed up in local garb, and looking absolutely beautiful. And then she talked to me about the special Buddhist festival in great detail. And she came to a picture that were the Buddhist prayer flags, and she traced her hands over that and started to tell me what those prayer flags were all about. They were all about peace. They were all about compassion, strength, and wisdom. And we looked at each other with that strong feeling that friends have, and we didn't need to really say anything more than that. We knew what each of us were feeling at that moment. Sue, I am so grateful to have been your friend. I have lost you in my life, but you will always be there in all of my vivid memories. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. That's beautiful. And now Renee is going to, Fergus's other sister, is going to speak on behalf of Megan, Fergus' daughter.
Lucky me, I get to read a message of farewell and gratitude to my mom from Megan Crowley. When you are young, you feel like your parents don't understand you at all, and they seem so different from you. I know that I was a challenge for Mom at times. As time passed, what became more noticeable was not the differences between us, but the similarities. I learned we were more alike than I initially thought, and I have come to highly value all the great qualities that she possessed and has passed on to me. Some of these qualities you may all know and love about her. Others may be a surprise. From early on, you heard this, I developed her deep love of books and reading right from my younger days, when I would ask for Peter Rabbit or Curious George to be read to me over and over again, all the way to reading English classics such as The Secret Garden and Black Beauty as a young teen. When I got to reading grown-up books, it was great to trade finds and compare notes with Mom. So often when we were talking on the phone or emailing, she would end by saying, "I'm off to read my book." In fact, those were the last words she wrote to me. How appropriate. I also grew up enjoying travel and culture and languages because of the exposure to these experiences, which started at a young age. She greatly enjoyed learning languages and was proud to use them on her many travels, especially when she was mistaken for a local. It has been a great joy for me as well, and I look forward to following in her footsteps around the globe, learning languages and all about local cultures. I will also cherish sharing this love with my own children, hopefully continuing in them that love of travel, culture, and language. The cottage. I think anyone who met my mother would quickly learn how much she loved the beauty and serenity that the cottage brought to her. She was a smart cookie. To land a guy as wonderful as my dad, his coming with a cottage was the most wonderful bonus for us all. I too love the cottage for the sense of calm and relaxation it brings, and of course, for the beauty that relatively untouched nature displays there. Also, what is appreciated by Mom about the cottage is a tremendous sense of community there, which is akin to a second family. This was something she deeply valued, as do I. I'm grateful for her inheriting her excellent abilities in organization and efficiency. While I don't go so far as to alphabetize my spice rack, I do pride myself on being well organized and efficient. Those skills are appreciated in my professional life, and more so, I've found them to be invaluable as a mother myself. She shared with me her love of ABBA, dancing, sapphires, cheese, the theater and musicals, the color turquoise, writing lists, and doing puzzles and crosswords. However, what I will miss most is her love. She is the one person who would know just what to say when I wasn't feeling well, had a bad day, or needed comfort. And it would always